You're here. Welcome to the Masterminding Success podcast. They say if you want to be successful in business and in life, then surround yourself with successful people. So pull up a seat. The mastermind is about to begin.
Hey, glad you could join us for another episode of the Masterminding Success podcast. We're your host, Keith Wheeler.
And Nuria Colby.
What are we talking about today, Nuria?
Today, we're going to talk about taking time off. And I think we can both do with taking time off now and again.
Yeah. Especially, before you know it, it's going to be fourth quarter. And, but before that arrives, I think this is a topic that people need to hear. It's okay to take time off in your business. Sometimes you need to take time off, whether it's for mental health, maybe it's for, something that you have no control over, family, friends, issues. Taking time off is one of the many things that I love about this business. Not that I love taking time off, but I love the flexibility that comes along with it. The fact that I can take time off and my business still runs.
Absolutely. I think my husband and I are doing this together now, and I think every day we talk about how unusual it is still for us to be able to take time off without having to worry about anything, because we're still used to my husband working in his workplace. I used to work full time, and taking time off was never easy. It was always something where you had to, first of all, ask for permission, because that was the first thing we had to do. In many ways, we couldn't take time off because depending on how their business was running, and maybe they were short-staffed, then you couldn't really take time off because they wouldn't allow you, for starters. And what this has done to us, doing KDP and self-publishing, it's given us the freedom to take time off without having to ask anybody. That is the main thing. And we still pinch ourselves saying, can you believe we can just go and do our shopping midweek rather than going at weekends when we used to do our shopping when we were still working. And now we can just go when it's quieter. It's just been such a blessing, really, to be able to do this, to be able to take time off without the repercussions that you would have in a normal 9-to-5 job if you took time off. So I think we're still in that sort of time span where we still can't believe it. We're just really happy that we can do that, and this is why, like you said, I love this type of business, because you can do that. You can take time off in the knowledge that the business isn't going to collapse. It's still ticking away in the background. One question here, do you do anything anything special if you have to take a lot of time off? Say you want to go on a week's holiday or something. Do you feel you need to take extra measures to do that, or are you able to do that?
Well, it really depends on the different part of the business. In general, I will, especially if it's something that I can plan ahead of time, then I will, as you know, we've got the YouTube channels and things like that. So, I might record some videos ahead of time and have them pre-scheduled. My newsletters, I will have them pre-scheduled. So they're already written and I've got, scheduled to go off to launch at a certain date and time. So a little extra work, but you know what? When you're working a 9-to-5 job, chances are that, leading up to the week you're going to take off, you're going to be doing things like that too. You're going to be planning things ahead, talking to people, making sure this gets covered and that gets covered, depending on, what your 9-to-5 job is. But yeah, in general, if I'm planning on taking off more than a week or more, then there are definitely things that I will plan ahead, try to get a jump on things. If there are things that I can't, I'll plan my book launches around it, so if I'm putting something up on pre-order, I'll, try to be more cognizant of do I plan on taking any time off around this time? Should I change the pre-order date? If it comes to launching, I've got a launch schedule that I have, and sometimes it's out of my control. Sometimes, we're going away for a week, but it wasn't planned ahead of time. Well, then I might have to just postpone that launch an extra week or launch it a week early or whatever. So there's some logistics that go along with it. But the great thing is at the end of the day, it's my business. And so I get to make those shots. And I think what you said earlier is probably the big thing is I don't have to ask permission. I mean, I'm married, so I ask permission to my wife, but other than that, but no, I mean, the only permission that I ask is, hey, do you want to go somewhere? Yeah, sure. And there's so much flexibility with it. And we could do a whole nother episode just on the whole topic of working from anywhere. But today, we wanted to focus specifically on taking time off. And so, yeah, there are definitely things that I will plan ahead. I mean, there have been times during Q4, with the holidays and everything else, I've taken the entire month of December off before. You and I both did that a few years ago when we first started the podcast. So what we do is we recorded, I think we recorded like 3 or 4 sessions at a time.
That's
and
right.
did it until we had a month or so ahead of schedule. And so, yeah, there are things that you can do ahead of time to kind of plan things out. I know a lot of people that are in the self-publishing books business that do take off at least a couple weeks during December. And yeah, it's just so much flexibility that we have. And like you said, we don't have to ask permission. I don't have to ask KDP if I can take time off.
True. I think that is the main bonus about having or being in this kind of business, the fact that you don't have to ask permission and the fact that you can just take time off. In my case, I haven't taken time off deliberately in the sense that I haven't taken time off for a holiday or for anything like that. In my case, it's been things that have happened in my life that required me to take time off. Like when we moved house, I had a few days where I didn't have the internet and I had to do everything on my phone. So I really scaled down the business. And in a way, I took time off. And then I took time off as well when we were doing bits around the house. We had our bathroom remodeled. We had the garden done a little bit. We had all sorts of different things that we had to take time off. Or my husband, at least, had to take. He's been off for about a month now. He hasn't been doing anything on KDP because he's been busy working on the house and painting it and everything else. So we were able to do that. And then we've said for him, in his case, he's just going to get ready for August, get everything that he was doing on the house ready for August so that in August he can come back full time. And then, but he was able to take so much time off. And it hasn't affected his side of the business. His books are still selling. So it's true passive income in that respect.
Right.
Even though I would say passive income is not completely passive because you have to put in the work before you get the benefits of it. But it's passive in the sense that you can take a break and it's still working in the background. The only other thing that I could maybe sort of, where it gets a little bit not so good because we're saying how good it is to be able to take time off, but at the same time it's also the case that I find that it does, when I do take time off, I still get emails, I still get text messages and that I still have to answer. So there is the bit where we're not really completely 100% off. We were still there to answer questions. So in that sense, you can never be completely gone, or I can't do that. I don't know about you, whether you can leave it totally to one side, but I do keep answering emails as much as I can and those type of things, even over Christmas or over any period of time where I should not be available, but I still am. So that is, I think, the only time when I could say you can't take 100% time off. You could, but I don't do it. So,
right.
What do you do? Do you?
I
do you still answer emails?
I will, if I'm taking off for a week, like when, for example, when my wife and I went to Cancun, when it comes to social media, I let people know ahead of time that I was going to be gone for a week. If you got a virtual assistant, obviously makes things so seamless. But at the time I didn't. And then my emails, I had an out of office on. And so people knew that I wasn't going to be responding nearly as quickly, and that I was out. Now that said, if I had downtime and we were literally just sitting there watching something on TV or whatever, if I might peruse, and if I saw an important email, I might answer those. I didn't, obviously if I saw an email where someone is, saying that, there's something major happened with, maybe one of my courses or something, and they're not able to log in. Obviously, I don't want them to have, a poor experience.
Yeah.
And so I might respond to that, within a somewhat timely manner. But again, with my out of office message popped up, they knew that there was going to be a delay.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I don't do that. I don't do that a lot. I do that. I mean, because I'll take time off, like you said earlier, take time off in the middle of the day to go shopping, so you don't have to do it on the weekend. Obviously I don't put, out of office for things like that. But on the occasion that I'm gone for a week or more, depending on where we're going and what the plan is, I have been known to put my out of office on. So I don't tell people I'm like on social media. I don't tell people I'm leaving or I'm going out of town, because I don't want to come home to an empty house. But I will tell them, I will say, I'm going to be off social media for the next week or whatever. So again, giving a little bit of heads up, and I'll usually do that like a week or two ahead of time, and I'll send a couple reminder posts just so people aren't surprised, and I'll even pin it at the top of my groups.
Yeah.
So again, so they're, so it's not a surprise. Also in my groups, I have moderators. So it really doesn't affect the users and, the members of the group as much, unless they have something specific to me.
Mm-hmm. I think that is one of the things that I need to copy you with having moderators, because I don't have them, and that's why I'm responsible for my groups. So even when I take time off, I still pop into the groups and make sure that there aren't any unanswered questions or anything like that. So, but it's again, even with those kind of things where you can't really take 100% time off, it is still such an amazing way to be able to take time off from your business, from the way you are creating your income.
Right.
I'm relying on this income, but yet I'm able to take time off whenever I want, which is, it's amazing. I've never had that before. And that is one of the things that I really appreciate about this kind of business, self-publishing or any digital business that you do online could be like this. It just gives you so much more freedom.
It does.
And the only thing I've noticed is we do things differently now, because when we used to go out at the weekends and we used to do our shopping at weekends, because obviously during the week we were working, that's kind of turned around now. We work flat out all weekend and then we take time out during the week to do our shopping because it's quieter. Right. We go out during the week because it's quieter, it's not so busy. So I find that is an advantage as well, because it may seem a bit strange at first that you're working all weekend, but I find it has a lot of advantages to do it that way. And we're just really grateful we can do that. Do you work weekends as well, or do you find that different?
It's funny. It's because I think what it really comes down to is flexibility. You have that flexibility. I very seldom will work on a weekend. Unless it has to do, like when it comes to my book business, I would say unless I'm on a tight timeline and I've taken time off and I've basically backed myself into a corner, I don't work on the weekends. I have worked on weekends for like to do maybe record a video, if I'm working on a new course, things like that. But specifically on the book business, very seldom do I do any work on the weekends. Weekends is typically when we do when my wife and I will go out and do things, just the two of us. Family time. Just the two of us, because or with the kids, all our kids are grown up, and so they work during the week. And so sometimes the weekend is, the only time we have to go do something, whether it's to go, kayaking or whatever. But but like I said, I can still during the week, I could take time off, hours here and, a couple hours there or whatever, whether it's to, go shopping like we talked about, or just go hang out at the park with my grandkids or whatever. And then I come back and it's that flexibility where I might not necessarily work a 9 to 5. There are definitely weekdays when I'm working later than 5 p.m. But I've also taken, 3 hours and went to the park with my grandkids, so it's fine. It gives you that mental break.
Yeah.
So, and not to be confused with a mental breakdown, which is different. Which if you don't take time off, you might end up getting. It's very easy. We talk a lot on this podcast about all the great things about working online and having an online business. But there are struggles. It's very easy to get overwhelmed. It's very easy to feel secluded, and
Yeah.
so to have the flexibility of being able to say, you know what, I need a break, whether it's a vacation, whether like I said, whether it's scheduled, or maybe you're just having what my old boss used to call a mental health day, where you just take a day and just take a break, and
Yeah.
it's fine, as long as you don't have to plan them ahead of time, because sometimes you don't know when that's going to come. You
That's
don't know
very
when.
true.
I just don't want. I just don't have it in me today. I just my get up and go, got up and went, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's okay, and you can take time off, and your business should in most cases will not suffer from it. The problem is knowing when enough is enough, and knowing when you're taking too much time off, when you start seeing that it's affecting your business. And the longer you do this business, and this goes with any online business, I feel, when the longer you do it, the more you can be proactive, both in knowing when you need a break before you get to your breaking point, but also when it comes to taking that break, knowing how long of a break to take before it'll affect your business. A lot of that just comes with knowing your business, and it just comes with
Yeah.
time. Unfortunately, I can't give you a set number of days that you can take off and it's still going to be okay. But the great thing about this online business is, we can do that. We don't have to ask permission. We can, like I said, you don't have to ask KDP or Ingram Spark, can I take a week off? Because they're going to keep plugging along anyway.
Yeah.
The only thing that really is affected is, producing and publishing new stuff. And if you're running ads, obviously I would always suggest, if you're going to keep running the ads while you're on break, keep an eye on those, just so
Oh,
that way you don't end up
definitely.
that I've known many people who have gone on break and come back, and their ads have gone, haywire, and they're spending a lot more than what they intended.
Yeah.
So, that's something to keep in mind, that aspect of it. But other than that, there's so much flexibility that we have.
And it's also good that you can plan things a little bit. Like you said, with the ads, I totally agree, because they can quickly add up and run away with your cash. But you can plan for things like that. That is the
Right.
good thing about it as well. And I guess when I was saying our weeks have been inverted in a way, like we work at weekends and we take time off during the week, I think that's only possible because both my husband and I are doing this together.
Right.
I remember the times when he was still working. Obviously, we couldn't do that. We had to do our family time at weekends whenever he was off work.
Right.
So it is different in that respect. But even then, we still had a lot more flexibility, and there was a lot of things that I could do during the week that I wouldn't have been able to do if I was in a full-time job somewhere else. But planning is really good as well, because if you have a 9 to 5 job, you're planning things within your job, but you still have the same hours. Whereas
Right.
when you're doing what we're doing, you can plan your hours as well. And
Right.
you just mentioned something really important, mental health. I think sometimes when especially if you're in this type of business, you can very quickly um, be overwhelmed with everything that's
Yes.
happening, and you kind of you you burn out, which has
Hmm.
happened, I think, to all of us. It's happened to
Right.
me as well.
It's happened to me.
And it's one of the reasons why, for example, and this is to do with planning, I don't do sponsored videos, for example, because I know that it puts too much pressure on me. Because sponsored videos, you would know about it, probably, is, you've got a deadline, and as soon as I
Right.
have a deadline, I'm in trouble because I'm terrible with I was able to do that when I was in my previous job, but
Hmm.
when you have a lot of freedom, sometimes that is worse. I don't know if that makes
Yeah.
sense, but it
It's hard
kind
to add
of,
that. It's hard to add that structure back in,
exactly, yes.
especially if it's a regular job that you've had. There might be psychologically negative connotations that come with
Yeah.
that kind of structure,
Yeah.
and so yeah, I totally understand.
Yeah. So that's one of the reasons why I don't do, well, never say never. Maybe I will do in the future, but at the moment, I have no plans on doing that because I know how far I can go and I've got
Right.
enough to do at the moment. And I do want to keep my life as simple as possible.
Hmm.
I know I could do more in this business and I could go further, but we kind of want to keep that balance, that
Right.
work-life balance. And I think that's one of the reasons as well. I don't know if you've heard recently, a lot of big YouTubers have suddenly left and they're not doing YouTube anymore. And there were a lot of them that I used to watch, Vanessa Lau and lots of others, and they suddenly disappeared. Vanessa Lau has come back now, and a lot of the ones that have come back and are talking about it, they're basically saying they burnt out
Burnt out.
because
Yeah.
they when when any of us start doing YouTube, we're doing it almost for fun. We think, oh, let's tell people
Right.
about what we're doing,
Right.
and then suddenly it starts as fun. It starts as wanting to tell people our story, and then it becomes work, and then it becomes pressurized, especially if they rely on sponsor deals and
Hmm.
all sorts of things. And then it becomes like a corporate machine after a
Right.
while, especially with the big YouTubers, because they are corporate kind of YouTubers in the end. And a lot of them have left YouTube for that reason because
Right.
they've just been under so much pressure. And I'm kind of, my husband and I have talked about it. We rather, when we don't grow so much, but we remain in a manageable situation where we can still have fun and still live our lives. And I think that is important, that whatever you do, know your limits and know how far you can take it and how far
Hmm.
you can go as well. Because I know you can take time off any time really, but also you have to know why you're taking time off and make sure
Right.
that you're taking time off for the right reasons, and to also help you in your mental health, and so that you don't get overwhelmed. But yeah, I think we're in a really good position, but the risk is there that you might want to do too much. So it's
Right.
really good to take time off now and again and just put things in perspective.
Yeah.
And I
Couldn't
think,
agree more.
yeah, we've done that, and when we start feeling a bit overwhelmed, we think, hang on a minute, what's happening? Why are we feeling like this? And you kind of have to make sure that you're not that your business doesn't drive you. You have to drive your business.
Hmm.
So that's something I've learned.
Yeah, it's really helpful to have an accountability partner, whether it's your partner
Absolutely.
or a friend,
Yeah.
somebody in a Facebook group, whatever. Not just to hold you accountable, and we've talked about before,
Mhm.
on like meeting your deadlines and things like that, but also just checking in to make sure that your mental health is fine and that that for all intents and purposes you're still enjoying it.
Yeah.
Yes, this is a business. So there are going to be parts of the business that are not fun.
Mm.
But at the end of the day, if you're dreading to do it, then you might as well have a regular 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Like that's not the point of having your own business is to give you that freedom, and to not only freedom of time, which is what we're talking about today, but freedom of creativity. And so if you're not enjoying that part of it, then that's a whole nother issue, and that's a question, whether do you need to take a break,
Mm.
or do you need to just stop doing it? And unfortunately, nobody can answer that but you. But I would say
Yeah.
if you get to that point, start off with a break because you may find that's all you need,
Yeah.
you know. But a good thing about, you were talking before about, scheduling time and things like that, and the freedom that comes with that is,
Mm.
you switch your schedule around to where you're working mostly weekends because that's what works best for you.
Mm.
Whereas what works best for me is the exact opposite.
Exactly. Yeah.
If someone is a stay-at-home mom, and they've got little ones, they may find that, I'm going to work 2 hours in the morning before the kids wake up, get them their breakfast, do whatever I'm going to do, put on, cartoons, whatever. Then at nap time, I'm going to work, another 2 hours or whatever. And again, you have that flexibility.
Mm.
And then when my spouse comes home and they're able to, you know, take, spend time with the kids, then maybe I'll work another 2 hours, and
Yeah.
that'll be their time to spend with the kids. And then after that, we'll have family time where we can, we can all be together. So again, that's just something I just came up with the top of my head,
Yeah.
but
No, it's true.
that is the flexibility that
Yeah.
you have with this business.
Yeah.
You can take, it's not, is it really taking time off? No, but it kind of is. You're not working straight 9 to 5. You're setting your schedule based on your life
Yeah.
instead of at a regular 9 to 5 job where you have to change your life to work around your work.
Mm.
This is, you can change your work schedule to work around your life. And I
Exactly.
absolutely love that
Mm.
about this business. And I love that you can, like I said, I can, if yes, I normally work, from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. or 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. But you know what? Tonight's a special occasion. It's our anniversary. We're going to go out to dinner. I'm not working tonight,
Mm.
you know?
Yeah.
And will that affect, what I have to do tomorrow? Maybe, if
Mm.
I have a deadline coming up, but you have that flexibility. Like we said
Yeah.
earlier, I don't have to ask permission. Hey, can I leave work early? If you want to do it just kind of in a comedic way, you can ask yourself, yeah, you know what, I can, but again, you don't have to ask permission.
Yeah. I think that is the one thing that I still find so amazing, and that's why I'm happy that I ever started this business, because I wouldn't have found that anywhere else. And I think it's a very fine line where you don't let the, well, I mean, it depends what you want to do. If you want to really grow the business and go that way, you can, but then know that you are limiting you kind of, the work balance can get out of whack
Hmm.
if you
Right.
do that. And sometimes in our case, for example, I know there's a lot that I could do. Yeah, I could do more courses, I could do more this, that, and the other. And I think about it sometimes, and then my husband says, no, slow down. Because
Right.
you've already, and I think you're right when you said about having an accountability partner. I think that really helps. And I wish in a way more people would ask questions like that in the Facebook groups. I wish more people talk about how they're feeling as well, because most people ask technical questions.
Right.
Do I need my own ISBN to publish on Ingram Spark? Those
Right.
are the kind of
Right.
questions we get. But we don't get enough of the questions where people say, I feel really flat today. I feel really like I don't want to continue this. How do you sometimes feel like that? Let's start talking about it, because I think that is so important as well, to have people that understand how you feel when you're not feeling so great.
Hmm.
And at the same time, when something really great happens, oh, I've just sold 10 of my books, tell us, because we love to hear
Right.
it. So I think
Yeah.
there's a lot that, like when you said accountability partner, that really is so important,
Yeah.
because it really helps to have people that you can talk to and share your worries and your gains as well with.
Hmm.
So yeah, that was a good point.
Yeah. Maybe I'll start doing that in my Facebook groups on Mondays, like,
Yeah, let's do that.
mental check-in Monday or something like that.
Yes,
And
we have to do
yeah,
that. I think that's a
yeah,
good idea.
yeah. Because I mean, I agree, and that's something that just in general in life. I mean, uh, yeah, we might see somebody and we're like, hey, how you doing? But it's just it's just like almost like a robotic response. We
Yeah,
don't. It's just something we say. It's not necessarily something we're really.
Yeah.
because sometimes you'll say that, and I've been victim of this, where I'll say that, and somebody tells me, and and it's like an hour-long conversation. I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
I didn't realize how much I didn't really want to know.
Yeah.
And I say that jokingly, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
We all, human nature is to unfortunately, whether we want to be or not, to be more us centric, where
Yeah.
we've got no problem if you ask me how my day is for me to tell you, but you have to be able to be open to that. So
Mm.
yeah, mental health is something that just in general, I don't think gets enough um, attention.
Mm.
And I know it's getting more attention now than maybe 10, 20 years ago,
Mm.
but I think that's something that we can do better. We can do
Yeah.
better. And when it comes to
Definitely.
online business, and I know we talk about self-publishing books a lot, but this goes with, if you've got an Etsy store or Shopify or whatever, it doesn't matter. Like all the things that we're talking about taking time off, it's still very similar. I mean, yeah, I know
Yeah.
with an Etsy store, you can put your store on vacation or whatever, or holiday, but the mental struggles that come with it,
Mm.
are you just having an off day?
Mm.
That's okay. But I do think that having an accountability partner is really helpful.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't want to belabor that too much because I know we talked about accountability partners before. But yeah, just checking in, whether it's a Facebook group you're already in, or it's an email you have, or a text, you've got someone's number who's doing an online business too, and
Mm.
just say, hey, how's your business today? How are
Mm.
you today? But say it wanting to know the answer.
Mm.
Don't just say it as just a blanket statement to,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, because you're very well going to get responses. And
Yeah.
so, um, and who knows, you may just by asking that help somebody verbalize the way they've been feeling, because sometimes
Yeah.
you don't, like, especially if you're overwhelmed, you don't necessarily know that you're overwhelmed.
Mm.
You just feel off,
Mm.
you know, and you feel like nothing I'm doing is right or whatever. And it could just be, I'll say just, but it could be that you're overwhelmed, and you need
Yeah.
to just take a step back and really align. Ask yourself, what's moving the needle, what's helping my business,
Yeah.
monetarily. And that's probably one of the quickest and easiest ways to take things off your plate and to get
Mm.
not overwhelmed,
Yeah.
um, is by stepping back and saying, you know what, I gave myself this deadline. How important is that deadline? Can I put it off? Can I extend it, 3 more days or whatever? And just that little bit of leeway that you
Mm.
have can really help relieve that.
Yeah.
But you might not even realize that you're overwhelmed unless somebody asks.
Very true. That actually reminded me of when I grew up in Germany and I was learning English as a second language. And we were learning about greetings. And they told us that in England, you ask, how do you do? So, how do you reply to that? You just say, how do you do as well? So, it's how do you do? How do you do? You don't really ask.
Answer.
You don't,
Yeah.
you don't really want to know how they're doing. It's just a formality. It's just a
Hmm.
greeting. And I felt it was really strange at the time. I thought, what a strange way to, and now we're doing it all the time. We
Yeah, we
ask
do.
people how they are and don't expect an answer back. And that's a shame, really. So I hope more people will maybe talk about their struggles on our groups as well. I think that's important and
Yeah.
it would help.
Yeah. And like I said, it could just come down. I mean, asking that, and people might be saying, what in the world does this have to do with taking time off?
Yeah.
But I'll come full circle. Asking somebody that question and getting that response, having them say, I guess I'm just overwhelmed. I guess I've just got too much on my plate. Then you can say, have you thought about taking some time off? See what I did
Yeah.
there? See, full
There you
circle.
go.
Oh, there you go. So that
Not
answers those
just a
people
pretty
who are
face.
wondering that. Yeah. Um, but yeah, because I mean, I do that same thing. But see, people will say to me, how are you? And I intentionally make a response that is not expected. You
Yeah.
know, I may say something like, uh, if I was any happier, there'd have to be two of me. Just little comments like that
Yeah.
get people to laugh, or just kind of jar them out of this norm that we have where we're just like back and
Yeah.
forth and back and forth and, hey, how are you? I'm good. How are you? You know, and then in reality, you're not good. You
No,
know, you're
that's true.
overwhelmed.
Yeah.
You're stressed out. You started this whole business and you were told it was going to be three easy steps, and and
Yeah.
then next thing you know, it's more than that.
Mm.
And you've got these deadlines that you've set for yourself, and you're spending more time working than you are with a family, whatever. It
Yeah.
again, it's the great thing about this business. One is it's your business, which means you control all that,
Mm.
which means if you set unrealistic expectations, which we've talked about in a whole nother episode, but if you set expectations, you can also be the one to extend those.
Mm.
You know, you have that flexibility. If you need to take time off, you can. Maybe you just take a day off. Maybe you
Yeah.
just take half a day off. You know, will the business still be there? Yes, it will. And I promise you, with very little exception, if you take a day off, most of the time, even if you take a week off, it's not going to drastically affect your business financially.
Yeah.
Um, there are exceptions. I can't make it that blanket statement, but in general, and even if it does, what it hurts your business in the short term, that break will help your business in the long term
Yeah.
because you're going to stick with it. You're not going to quit.
And I was going to say, I mean, we're talking about taking a break, taking time off because we're overwhelmed or we're burnt out. It's important to take time off before that even happens,
Exactly.
So just take time off whenever you need to take time off, because it helps you. I find that whenever I take time off, even if it's just a very short time, half an afternoon or something,
Mhm.
I come back refreshed and I come back
Right.
feeling better about the whole business. So I think it's important to do it before you even feel that way. And I know sometimes that seems strange, and it still seems strange to me sometimes to just for no good reason go out and have a coffee somewhere or
Yeah.
take a walk, and I think, oh, should I be doing this? And I've stopped feeling guilty about it because I realize now that it's benefiting my business.
Right.
It's not stopping me from doing anything. If anything, it's helping me because I feel better when I come back. And sometimes I get good ideas as well,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is important.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, I think one of the biggest ways that I can tell the difference between working a 9 to 5 job and taking a vacation and working my business and taking vacation is remember back when you had a 9 to 5 job and you took a vacation and then you went back that following Monday. How many times did you at least feel like you needed a vacation from your
From
vacation?
the vacation,
You
yes,
know, it's like
absolutely.
like the Sunday night, you're dreading going back to work the next morning. I never dread coming back to my job. I
That's
never
so true.
dread coming back to my business
Yeah.
ever. If I take an afternoon off, like you were talking about, um, I'm excited the next morning where I can jump back in and start working on it. If I take a week off, I'm excited when it's time to come back. And like you said, I'm always coming up with, ideas
Yeah.
while I'm quote on vacation. Things
Yeah.
just, whether it's a book I'm writing, and I get an idea from a character that some guy that was, on the subway or whatever that I interacted with or just saw, I get an idea for a character. Or if it's, a, a puzzle book or whatever, I'll get these ideas when I'm on vacation.
Mm.
I've taken as much as a whole month off. And even after a month, did not go back and go, oh, I don't want to go back. That's never happened to me. Never happened. And I will be honest, I think the moment it does is when I'll stop my business.
Mm.
The minute I stop enjoying it, again, there are things in business that are not fun. You know, um, being late for a deadline, not fun. Having to crunch time because you took a month off, so now you have to write more or whatever. Not fun. But the business as a whole is fun. I'm enjoying it. The fact that I have that flexibility, and when I start feeling like I don't enjoy it, which doesn't really happen, but when I start feeling that way, I just remember that this time crunch that I gave myself is because I just took a month off. So I did it to myself. Could I
Yeah.
extend that? Yes. But should I extend it? No, because I took time off, so now I need to put the
Yeah.
work in. I had the
Yeah.
flexibility to where I could extend it if I wanted to, but then that's going to affect my bottom line because now it's going to be that much longer before that book is launched, before I'm starting to make, a profit from it. So again, all this flexibility I have because it's my business and I
Yeah.
can make these decisions.
Absolutely. I think I'm just really happy that I found KDP and that I'm able to do that. And it brought a lot of other things as well. So, now I'm doing YouTube. I'm doing all sorts of other things that I wouldn't
Courses
have
and
done before. Courses, yes.
written
So
books.
written books even. Who would have
Yeah.
thought that I'd write a book one day? And I'm planning to write more. Actually, talking about taking time off, this morning we went shopping. So we didn't go at the weekend, we went today.
Right.
And we were in the supermarket, and there's a section where they have all the magazines and the best-selling books and all that. And I spent about a good 15 minutes just looking at all the books to see what was number one, what are people
Right.
reading, what are the covers like, what colors can I see up popping out at me.
Right.
I was kind of doing research for
Right.
work during my
Unintentionally.
time
Right.
off, yeah. But it's so good because I've come back with lots of ideas and I want to write a book now. So,
Right. Right.
so that's not a bad thing. So really,
No.
by taking time off, sometimes you are enhancing your business. So it's not
Right.
even like it's taking time off. You're not taking away from the business. You're adding something positive to it.
Right. I mean, you come back refreshed, you come back with new ideas.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So much positivity and advantages to taking time off in your business.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, this has been another great mastermind, Nuria. Once again, a huge thank you to all our listeners and viewers who came to tag along. If you enjoyed today's mastermind, please consider following or subscribing to the podcast and maybe even leave us a review and let us know what you thought. Till next time, I'm Keith Wheeler.
And I'm Nuria Corby.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining the Mastermind today. Be sure to follow the podcast on your platform of choice and tell a friend who would enjoy it too. Your support is greatly appreciated. This has been the Masterminding Success Podcast.